Hello, my name is Mitek Shung. I'm an unsuccessful middle-aged man, and this is my stream Dorkly Lit, where we are currently reading through the Dungeon Master's Guide to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and occasionally discussing it with our viewers. This video is the chapter 4, and without further ado, let's get to it. So, creating non-player characters. Non-player character is any character controlled by the Dungeon Master. NPCs can be enemies or allies, regular folk or named monsters. They include the local innkeeper, the old wizard who lives in a tower on the outskirts of town, the Death Knight out to destroy the kingdom, and the dragon counting gold in its cavernous lair. This chapter shows you how to flesh out non-player characters for your game. For guidelines on generating monster-like stat blocks for an NPC, see Chapter 9, Dungeon Master's Workshop. Designing NPCs. Nothing brings your adventures and campaigns to life better than a cast of well-developed NPCs. That said, NPCs in your game rarely need as much complexity as a well-crafted character in a novel or a movie. Most NPCs are bit players in a campaign, whereas the adventurers are the stars. I think the main bad guy, and maybe 2 or 3 NPCs that are gonna play a major role in a campaign, they should be fleshed out as about as good as you can make them. A good movie character would be ideal if we can manage. We can't always manage, but that's to strive for. If you want to have a character that dies or has a high likelihood of dying, it better be a character that the players care for, not just a block of stats. Quick NPCs. An NPC doesn't need combat statistics unless it poses a threat. Moreover, most NPCs need only 1 or 2 qualities to make them memorable. For example, your players will have no trouble remembering the no-nonsense blacksmith with a tattoo of a black rose on his right shoulder, or the badly dressed bard with the broken nose. Detailed NPCs. For NPCs who play larger roles in your adventures, allow more time to flesh out their histories and personalities. As you'll see, 10 sentences can sum up the main elements of a memorable NPC. 1 sentence for each of the following: occupation and history, appearance, abilities, talent, mannerism, interactions with others, useful knowledge, ideal, bond, flaw or secret. Although the material here focuses on humanoid NPCs, you can adjust details to create monstrous NPCs as well. Occupation and history. In 1 sentence, describe the NPC's occupation and provide a brief historical note that hints at the character's past. For example, the NPC might have served in an army, been imprisoned for a crime, or adventured years ago. Appearance. In 1 sentence, describe the NPC's most distinctive physical features. You can roll on the NPC appearance table or choose a feature that suits your character. Thank you for the follow, ABC 213. Appearance. In 1 sentence, describe the most distinctive physical features. You can roll on the NPC table or choose a feature that suits your character. NPC appearance. D20. 1. Distinctive jewelry, earrings, necklace, circlet, bracelets. 2. Piercings. 3. Flamboyant or outlandish clothes. 4. Formal clean clothes. 5. Ragged, dirty clothes. 6. Pronounced scar. 7. Missing teeth. 8. Missing fingers. 9. Unusual eye color or 2 different colors. 10. Tattoos. 11. Birthmark. 12. Unusual skin color. 13. Bald. 14. Braided beard or hair. 15. Unusual hair color. 16. Nervous eye twitch. 17. Distinctive nose. 18. Distinctive posture, crooked or rigid. 19. Exceptionally beautiful. 20. Exceptionally ugly. Okay, so an NPC just created from random stuff could be... it could be horrible, or it could be just that, very interesting. I wouldn't dare probably to make a character by just rolling, but I might be tempted to roll on 1 of these and think up the rest as fits the first thing that rolled. Abilities. You don't need to roll ability scores for the NPC, but note abilities that are above or below average. Rate strength or monumental stupidity, for example, and use them to inform the NPC's qualities. NPC abilities. Strength. Powerful, brawny, strong as an ox. 2. Dexterity. Lithe, agile, graceful. 3. Constitution. Hardy, hale, healthy. 4. Intelligence. Studious, learned, inquisitive. 5. Wisdom. Perceptive, spiritual, insightful. 6. Charisma. Persuasive, forceful, born leader. D6 low ability. 1. Strength. Feeble, scrawny. 2. Dexterity. Clumsy, fumbling. 3. Constitution. Sickly, pale. 4. Intelligence. Dim-witted, slow. 5. Wisdom. Oblivious, absent-minded. 6. Charisma. Dull, boring. Talent. In 1 sentence, describe something that your NPC can do that is special, if anything. Roll on the NPC talents table or use it to spur your own ideas. Talent. 1. Plays a musical instrument. 2. Speaks several languages fluently. 3. Unbelievably lucky. 4. Perfect memory. 5. Great with animals. 6. Great with children. 7. Great at solving puzzles. 8. Great at one game. 9. Great at impersonations. 10. Draws beautifully. 11. Paints beautifully. 12. Sings beautifully. 13. Drinks everyone under the table. That's a great talent. 14. Expert carpenter. 15. Expert cook. 16. Expert dart thrower and rock skipper. Rock skipper? 17. Expert juggler. 18. Skilled actor and master of disguise. 19. Skilled dancer. 20. Knows thieves can't. Mannerism. In one sentence, describe one mannerism that will help players remember the NPC. Roll on the NPC mannerisms and quirks table or use it to generate your own ideas. I wonder if they've included something that's painfully cringe to roleplay or very hard to roleplay. 1. Prone to singing, whistling or humming quietly. I probably couldn't roleplay that one. Speaks in rhyme or some other peculiar way. I could not roleplay speaking in rhyme, like off the cuff. No way. Takes a special kind of person to be able to, I guess. That's a talent. 3. Particularly low or high voice. 4. Slurs words, lisps or stutters. That one I could do. I'm a natural at these, I guess. 5. Enunciates overly clearly. 6. Speaks loudly. 7. Whispers. 8. Uses flowery speech or long words. 9. Frequently uses the word the wrong word. I'm also a natural at this one. 10. Uses colorful oaths and exclamations. 11. Makes constant jokes or puns. 12. Prone to predictions of doom. 13. Fidgets. 14. Squints. 15. Stares into the distance. 16. Chews something. 17. Paces. 18. Taps fingers. 19. Bites fingernails. 20. Twirls hair or tugs beard. NPC interaction traits. D12. Trait. 1. Argumentative. 2. Arrogant. 3. Blustering. 4. Rude. 5. Curious. 6. Friendly. 7. Honest. 8. Hot-tempered. 9. Irritable. 10. Ponderous. 11. Quiet. 12. Suspicious. I guess that's very true to reality because you only have 1 in 12 chance to meet someone that's actually friendly. That's hard-boiled realism. Useful knowledge. In a sentence, describe one bit of knowledge the NPC possesses that might be of use to player characters. The NPC might know something as banal as the best inn in town or as important as a clue needed to solve a murder. Ideal. In a sense, describe one ideal that the NPC holds dear and which governs his or her actions. Player characters who uncover an NPC's ideal can use what they've learned to influence the NPC and social interaction, as discussed in Chapter 8 Running the Game. Ideals can be connected to alignment as shown on the NPC ideals table. The alignment connections here are suggestions only. An evil character could have beauty as an ideal, for instance. NPC ideals D6 good ideal. 1. Beauty, evil ideal domination. 2. Charity, evil ideal greed. 3. Greater good, evil ideal might. 4. Life, good ideal life, evil ideal pain. 5. Respect, evil ideal retribution. 6. Good ideal self-sacrifice, evil ideal slaughter. I guess the evil ideals aren't very convincing as character traits. I don't like this sort of thing. People who like slaughter because slaughter is cool and that's your villain. That's not a good villain. I'd like a human face behind a villain. Last stream I mentioned that I like villains that aren't even evil at all, to just cast into a role that requires them to do something really grim for their greater good. For the greater good of their people, or the greater good of your people, for example. I like that sort of thing. And character who just has an ideal of pain, like what sort of character is that? It could work for a fiend, but it wouldn't really work that well for a person. D6. Lawful ideal. 1. Lawful ideal community, chaotic ideal change. 2. Lawful ideal fairness, chaotic ideal creativity. 3. Lawful ideal honor, chaotic ideal freedom. 4. Lawful ideal logic, chaotic ideal independence. 5. Lawful ideal responsibility, chaotic ideal no limits. 6. Lawful ideal tradition, chaotic ideal whimsy. Neutral ideal. 1. Neutral ideal balance, other ideals aspiration. 2. Neutral ideal knowledge, other ideals discovery. 3. Neutral ideal live and let live, other ideal glory. 4. Neutral ideal moderation, other ideal nation. 5. Neutral ideal neutrality. No shit, Sherlock. Other ideals, redemption. Sorry. 6. Neutral ideal, people. Other ideals, self-knowledge. I guess these are fine. Bond. In a sentence, summarize the people, places, or things that are especially important to the NPC. The NPC bonds table offers suggestions in broader categories. Character backgrounds in the player's handbook explore bonds in more detail, and player characters who uncover an NPC's bond can use what they've learned to influence the NPC in a social interaction, as discussed in Chapter 8. NPC bonds. D10. 1. Dedicated to fulfilling a personal life goal. 2. Protective of close family members. 3. Protective of colleagues or compatriots. 4. Loyal to a benefactor, patron, or an employer. 5. Captivated by romantic interest. 6. Drawn to a special place. 7. Protective of a sentimental keepsake. 8. Protective of a valuable possession. 9. Out for revenge. 10. Roll twice, ignoring results of 10. Anyway, in one sentence, describe the NPC's flaw. Some element of the character's personality or history that could potentially undermine the character, or a secret that the NPC is trying to hide. You know what the best type of campaign is? A bad guy campaign. It is creating a character and an antagonist at the same time. I've never really done a campaign like that centers around a bad guy. Kind of like to do stuff that's more sandbox. I talked about it last stream, I think. I make my players do half the work for me by forcing them to put in goals for the characters. You're going to Y. You're going to Y. And when they answer the question why they're going to a particular place where everything's going to start and everyone's going to meet, I'm going to use what they say. And I'm going to spin a campaign around that. Anyway, the NPC flaws and secrets table provides several ideas. The backgrounds in the player's handbook can be used to create more detailed flaws. Player characters who uncover an NPC's flaw or secret can use what they've learned to influence the NPC in a social interaction, as discussed in Chapter 8. Just telling your players, your characters all start in prison, tell me why, and easy peasy, you have a few great evil player characters. If they want to be evil player characters, you could have one good one that's really innocent. That might be interesting, until the bad characters figure out that this one guy is good and start exploiting him mercilessly or just waste him when he's inconvenient. In the past chapter there was they suggested starting your campaign coinciding with a big event in the world, and one of the things was, I think, a change in rulership. And I think that's a great one for a campaign like that, because in real life, in the past, when the ruler would change, there were often amnesties and all the prisoners were let go, right? So they could be players sitting in a dungeon, God knows for what, and they've all met there and they know each other, and then one day they're just suddenly let go. It would be realistic because these sort of things used to happen, amnesties, but I wouldn't go with just that. I'd want the players to have a goal, like somewhere to go, preferably collectively, someplace they would want to go, because players tend to not want to go together. When I played as a player and when I led as a DM, that happens so much that the party can't agree and everybody wants to do their own thing, or just don't know what to do with their characters, or just don't want to do anything at all because their characters are not into it. They're just interested in, I don't know, one thing, for example money, and they don't want to do things. 5 dudes of which 4 are devils and 1 is an angel, and now they kind of have to work together. Sounds hilarious. I'm actually, as a player in a campaign where I'm the only good guy, everyone else is shades of neutral, evil, morally grey scumbags, and very, very utilitarian in what they do. They do nothing for free. Scumbags. Or at the very least, they have a very bleak outlook on life, right? And I'm this one bright-eyed guy in the whole campaign. And it's great. It's awesome. We have great chemistry as a party. Probably one of the best chemistries I've had as a player in a long time. So yeah, that kind of works. There's 4 of us. So it's 3-1. But we also have a strong bond, financial bond. And it just works. Meshes together nicely. So we've read the Floor Secret. We just need to read the table. D12, Flawed Secret. 1. Forbidden love or susceptibility to romance. 2. Enjoys decadent pleasures. 3. Arrogance. 4. Envies another creature's possessions or station. 5. Overpowering greed. 6. Prone to rage. 7. Has a powerful enemy. 8. Specific phobia. 9. Shameful or scandalous history. 10. Secret crime or misdeed. 11. Possession of forbidden lore. well, foolhardy bravery. So I have an idea for this campaign. I mentioned it a lot. I guess it doesn't hurt to mention it one more time. I have this idea that I want the players to start in a leper colony, as they're being lowered down on a lift into this huge canyon that houses a leper colony. And I want to tell all of my players that they each need to have a goal to be there, or at least a reason to be there. There could be a cleric that wants to be sent there as a leper in order to heal the people down there, or they can be looking for someone that's hiding there. Or they can be a real leper, and they're lowered there because they're non-magical, they can't cure themselves, there is no magic anywhere nearby, and they're just being sent there to die. And I'm hoping that some of the players are going to submit a goal that I'm going to be able to spin an additional plot, a subplot of the campaign, so to speak, around it. I have a bit of a main plot, but I don't want to make it too strong. I wanted to make like a mini campaign that's very customizable for the players, and I want to customize it for them. But that's the idea. Okay, monsters as NPCs. Named monsters that play a significant role in an adventure deserve the same attention you would give to a humanoid NPC, with mannerisms as well as ideals, bonds, flaws and secrets. If a beholder mastermind is behind the criminal activities in the city, don't rely solely on the entry in the monster manual to describe the creature's appearance and personality. Take the time to give it a bit of background, a distinctive quirk of appearance, and especially an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. As an example, consider the Xanathar, a beholder that runs extensive criminal operations in the city of Waterdeep. The Xanathar's spherical body is covered in leathery flesh, with a texture similar to cobblestones. Its eye stalks are jointed like the legs of an insect, and some of the stalks have magic rings on them. The Xanathar's speech is slow and deliberate. It prefers to turn its central eye away from the creatures it speaks to. Like all beholders, it sees other creatures as inferiors, though it understands the usefulness of its humanoid minions. The Xanathar uses the sewers beneath Waterdeep to access virtually any location within or under the city. The Xanathar's ideal is greed. It craves powerful magic items and surrounds itself with gold, platinum, and precious gems. Its bond is to its lair, an elaborate cavern complex carved out between the twisting sewers of Waterdeep, which it inherited from its predecessors and cherishes above all else. Its flaw is a weakness for exotic pleasures, finely prepared foods, scented oils, and rare spices and herbs. Establishing this information allows you to play the Xanathar as more than an ordinary beholder. The complexities of the creature's characterization create more memorable interaction and intersecting story possibilities. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a mastermind villain that has this network, just like Xanathar, that has this criminal network, but his bond isn't to his earthly riches, but to his network, for example. He values his network of loyal dudes, information, hands that will do his bidding unerringly every time, and maybe he's worked his entire life to build it, and he values those over gold. That would be very cool, because it would be, in a sense, a loyalty to people, but motivated by probably evil motives. That would be interesting. That's a good idea to keep for future campaigns. It doesn't fit my immediate project, but something to keep in the old noggin. Maybe use it later. Evil reasons but good outcome is kind of the opposite of what people usually do. Guess. Yeah, that's an inverted trope. No, is it an inverted trope? Anyway, it's something cool. It's something cool to explore, I guess. NPC statistics. When you give an NPC game statistics, you have three main options: giving the NPC only the few statistics it needs, give the NPC a monster stat block, or give the NPC a class and levels. The latter two options require a bit of explanation. Using a monster stat block, Appendix B of the monster manual contains statistics for many generic NPCs that you can customize as you see fit, and Chapter 9 of this book offers guidelines on adjusting their statistics and creating a new stat block. Using classes and levels. You can create an NPC just as you would play a character, using the rules in the player's handbook. You can even use a character sheet to keep track of NPC's vital information. Class options. In addition to the class options in the player's handbook, two additional class options are available for evil player characters and NPCs: the Death Domain for clerics and the Oathbreaker for paladins. Both options are detailed at the end of this chapter. Equipment. Most NPCs don't need an exhaustive list of equipment. An enemy meant to be faced in combat requires weapons and armor plus any treasure NPC carries, including magic items that might be used against the adventurer's loot. Class options, we've read class options, we've read equipment. Challenge rating. An NPC built for combat needs a challenge rating. Use rules in chapter 9 to determine the NPC's challenge rating, just as you would for a monster you designed. NPC Party Members. NPCs might join the adventuring party because they want a share of the loot and are willing to accept an equal share of the risk, or they might follow the adventurers because of a bond of loyalty, gratitude, or love. Such NPCs are controlled by you, or you can transfer control to the players. Even if a player controls an NPC, it's up to you to make sure that the NPC is portrayed as a character in his or her own right, not just a servant that the players can manipulate for their own benefit. Any NPC that accompanies the adventurers acts as a party member and earns a full share of experience points. When determining the difficulty of a combat encounter, see chapter 3, make sure to include all NPC party members. Low level followers. Low level followers. Your campaign might allow player characters to take on lower level NPCs as followers. For example, a paladin might have a first level paladin as a squire. A wizard might accept a second level wizard as an apprentice. A cleric might choose or be assigned a third level cleric as an acolyte, and a bard might take on a 4th level bard as an understudy. One advantage of allowing lower level characters to join the party is that players have backup characters if their main characters take time off, retire, or die. One disadvantage is that you and your players have more party members to account for. Since lower level NPC party members receive equal party shares of XP, they will gain levels more quickly than the adventurers. The benefit of studying such experienced masters, and they might eventually catch up to them. Also means the adventurers' advancement is slowed somewhat, as they must share their XP with an NPC, shouldering only part of the adventuring burden. Powerful monsters that are an appropriate challenge for higher level characters can deal enough damage to instantly kill or incapacitate a low level follower. The adventurers should expect to spend effort and resources protecting low level NPC party members and to provide healing when this protection fails. Adventurer NPCs. If you don't have enough players to form a full party, you can use NPCs to fill out the ranks. These NPCs should be the same level as the lowest level adventurer in the party and built either by you or your players using the character creation and advancement rules in the player's handbook. Easiest on you if you let the players create and run these supporting characters. Encourage players to roleplay supporting characters as true to the NPC's personality traits, ideals, bonds and flaws as possible, so that they don't come across as automatons. If you don't feel that the NPC is being portrayed well, you can take control of the NPC, give it to another player, or simply have the NPC leave the party. NPC supporting characters are easier to play if you limit their class options. Good candidates of supporting characters include a cleric with life domain, a fighter with a champion archetype, a rogue with the thief archetype, and a wizard specializing in evocation. Alright, I guess I don't like this bit. I would never give an NPC to players because this sort of takes the player from the mindset of his character and makes him focus less on his thoughts, just being this one person in a story. And I personally, as a player, I like the feeling of being this someone else in a story, this one particular person, and trying to think and act as them. That's fun for me. If you're just navigating a bunch of goons on the map to help you fight, even if you don't, if you only roleplay as your one character, it takes away from this feeling in a game. So I would never do this one. Optional rule: loyalty. Loyalty is an optional rule you can use to determine how far an NPC party member will go to protect or assist the other members of the party, even those he or she doesn't particularly like. An NPC party member who is abused or ignored is likely to abandon or betray the party, whereas an NPC who owes a life debt to the characters or shares their goals might fight to the death for them. Loyalty can be roleplayed or represented by this rule. Loyalty score. An NPC's loyalty is measured on a numerical scale from 0 to 20. The NPC's maximum loyalty score is equal to the highest charisma score among all adventurers in the party, and its starting loyalty is half that number. If the highest charisma score changes, perhaps the character dies or leaves the group, adjust the NPC's loyalty score accordingly. Tracking loyalty. Keep the target of an NPC's loyalty score in secret so that the players won't know for sure whether an NPC member is loyal or disloyal, even if the NPC is currently under the player's control. An NPC's loyalty score increases by 1d4. Other party members help the NPC achieve a goal tied to its bond. Likewise, an NPC's loyalty score increases by 1d4 if the NPC is treated particularly well. For example, given a magic weapon as a gift, or rescued by another party member. An NPC's loyalty score can never be raised above its maximum. When other party members act in a manner that runs counter to the NPC's alignment or bond, reduce the NPC's loyalty score by 1d4. Reduce the NPC's loyalty score by 2d4 if the character is abused, misled, or endangered by other party members for purely selfish reasons. I guess even if I did an NPC follower, I would never go with the loyalty thing. It's much better roleplayed in my opinion. An NPC whose loyalty score drops to 0 is no longer loyal to the party and might part ways with them. A loyalty score can never drop below 0. An NPC with a loyalty score of 10 or higher risks life and limb to help fellow party members. If the NPC's loyalty score is between 1 and 10, its loyalty is tenuous. An NPC whose loyalty drops to 0 no longer acts in the party's best interests. The disloyal NPC either leaves the party, attacking characters who attempt to intervene, or works in secret to bring about the party's downfall. Or they could just hang with them and pilfer some loot, do only the things that pay the bills for them, and whenever there's any risk or something, they're just gonna bail. Contacts. Contacts are NPCs with close ties to one or more of the player characters. They don't go on adventures, but they can provide information, rumors, supplies, or professional advice, either for free or at a cost. Some of the backgrounds in the player's handbook suggest contacts for beginning adventurers, and characters are likely to secure more helpful contacts over the course of their adventuring careers. A name and a few choice details are all you need for casual contacts, but take the time to flesh out the recurring contact, especially one who might be an ally or enemy at some point. At the very least, give some thought to the contact's goals and how those goals are likely to come into play. Patrons. A patron is a contact who employs the adventurers, providing help or rewards as well as quests and adventure hooks. Most of the time a patron has a vested interest in the adventurer's success and doesn't need to be persuaded to help them. A patron might be a retired adventurer who seeks younger heroes to deal with rising threats, or a mayor who knows the town's guard can't handle a dragon demanding tribute. A sheriff becomes a patron by offering a bounty for kobold raiders terrorizing the local countryside, as does a noble who wants an abandoned estate cleared of monsters. Hirelings. Adventurers can pay NPCs to provide services in a variety of circumstances. Information on hireling appears in Chapter 5, Equipment, of the player's handbook. Hireling NPCs rarely become important in an adventure and most require little development. When adventurers hire a coach to carry them across town or need a letter delivered, the driver or messenger is a hireling, and the adventurers might never even converse with that NPC or learn his or her name. A ship captain carrying the adventurers across the sea is also a hireling, where such a character has the potential to turn into an ally, a patron, or even an enemy as the adventure unfolds. When adventurers hire an NPC for long-term work, and at the cost of that NPC's services to the character's lifestyle expenses, see the additional expenses section of Chapter 6, Between Adventures, for more information. Extras. Extras are characters and creatures in the background that main characters rarely, if ever, interact with. Extras might be elevated to more important roles by virtue adventurers, singling them out. For instance, a player might be hooked by passing reference you make to a street urchin to try to strike up a conversation with the youngster. Suddenly, an extra, on whom you place no importance, becomes a central figure in an improvised role-playing scene. Whenever extras are present, be prepared to come up with names and mannerisms on the fly. In a pinch, you can plunder the race-specific character names found in Chapter 2 Races of the player's handbook. Villains. By their actions, villains provide job security for heroes. That's an interesting way to look at it. By their actions, villains provide job security for heroes. Chapter 3 helps you determine suitable villains for your adventures, while this section helps you flesh out their evil schemes, methods, and weaknesses. Let the tables that follow inspire you. Villain scheme D8. 1. Immortality. 1. Require a legendary item to prolong life. 2. Ascend to godhood. 3. Become undead or obtain a younger body. 4. Steal a planar creature's essence. 2. Influence. Seize a position of power or title. 2. Win a contest or tournament. 3. Win favor with a powerful individual. 4. Place a pawn in position of power. 3. Magic. 1. Obtain an ancient artifact. 2. Build a construct or magical device. 3. Carry out the deity's wishes. 4. Offer sacrifices to a deity. 5. Contact a lost deity or power. 6. Open a gate to another world. 4. Mayhem. Fulfill an apocalyptic prophecy. 2. Enact a vengeful will of a god or patron. 3. Spread a vile contagion. 4. Overthrow a government. 5. Trigger a natural disaster. 6. Utterly destroy a bloodline or clan. 5. Passion. D4. 1. Prolong the life of a loved one. 2. Prove worthy of another person's love. 3. Raise or restore a dead loved one. 4. Destroy rivals for another person's affection. 6. Power, d4. 1. Conquer a region or incite a rebellion. 2. Seize control of an army. 3. Become the power behind the throne. 4. Gain the favor of the ruler. 7. Revenge. 1. Avenge a past humiliation or insult. 3. Avenge a past imprisonment or injury. 3. Avenge the death of a loved one. 4. Retrieve stolen property and punish the thief. 8. Wealth, d4. Control natural resources or trade. 2. Marry into wealth. 3. Plunder ancient ruins. 4. Steal land, goods or money. Okay, that's a long bit. That's a really long table. Villains methods, d20. 1. Agricultural devastation. d4. 1. Blight. 2. Crop failure. 3. Drought. 4. Famine. 2. Assault or beatings. 3. Bounty hunting or assassination. 4. Captivity or coercion. d10. 1. Bribery. 2. Enticement. 3. Eviction. 4. Imprisonment. 5. Kidnapping. 6. Legal intimidation. 7. Press gangs. 8. Shackling. 9. Slavery. 10. Threats or harassment. 5. Confidence scams. d6. 1. Breach of contract. 2. Cheating. 3. Fast talking. 4. Fine print. 5. Fraud or swindling. 6. Quackery or tricks. 6. Defamation. d4. 1. Framing. 2. Gossiping or slander. 3. Humiliation. 4. Libel or insults. 7. Dueling. 8. Execution. d8. 1. Beheading. 2. Burning at the stake. 3. Burying alive. 4. Crucifixion. 5. Drawing and quartering. 6. Hanging. 7. Impalement. 8. Sacrifice. Living. 9. Impersonation or disguise. 10. Lying or perjury. 11. Magical mayhem. d8. 1. Hauntings. 2. Illusions. 3. Infernal bargains. 4. Mind control. 5. Petrification. 6. Raising or animating the dead. 7. Summoning monsters. 8. Weather control. 12. Murder. d10. 1. Assassination. 2. Cannibalism. 3. Dismemberment. I almost read it as disembowelment. I don't know what's worse. 4. Drowning. 5. Electrocution. 6. Euthanasia. Involuntary. 7. Disease. 8. Poisoning. 9. Stabbing. 10. Strangulation or suffocation. 13. Neglect. 14. Politics. d6. 1. Betrayal or treason. 2. Conspiracy. 3. Espionage or spying. 4. Genocide. 5. Oppression. 6. Raising taxes. 15. d4. 1. Curses. 2. Desecration. 3. False gods. 4. Heresy or cults. 16. Stalking. 17. Theft or property crime. d10. 1. Arson. 2. Blackmail or extortion. 3. Burglary. 4. Counterfeiting. 5. Highway robbery. 6. Looting. 7. Mugging. 8. Poaching. 9. Seizing property. 10. Smuggling. 18. Torture. d6. 1. Acid. 2. Blinding. 3. Branding. 4. Racking. 5. Thumbscrews. 6. Whipping. 19. Vice. d4. 1. Adultery. 2. Drugs or alcohol. 3. Gambling. 4. Seduction. 20. Warfare. d6. 1. Ambush. 2. Invasion. 3. Massacre. 4. Mercenaries. 5. Rebellion. 6. Terrorism. Villain's secret weaknesses. Finding and exploiting a villain's weakness can be very gratifying for players. Although a smart villain tries to conceal its weakness, a lich, for example, has a phylactery, a magical receptacle for its soul that it keeps well hidden. Only by destroying the phylactery can the characters ensure the lich's destruction. Villain's weakness. d8. 1. A hidden object holds the villain's soul. 2. The villain's power is broken if the death of its true love is avenged. 3. The villain is weakened in the presence of a particular artifact. 4. A special weapon deals extra damage when used against the villain. 5. The villain is destroyed if it speaks its true name. 6. An ancient prophecy or riddle reveals how the villain can be overthrown. 7. The villain fails when an ancient enemy forgives its past actions. 8. The villain loses its power if a mystic bargain it struck long ago is completed. Villainous class options. You can use the rules in the player's handbook to create NPCs with classes and levels, the same way you create player characters. The class options below let you create 2 specific villainous archetypes, the Evil High Priest and the Evil Knight or Anti-Paladin. The Death Domain is an additional domain choice for Evil Clerics, and the Oathbreaker offers an alternative path for Paladins who fall from grace. A player can choose one of these options with your approval. Cleric, Death Domain. The Death Domain is concerned with the forces that cause death as well as the negative energy that gives rise to undead creatures. Deities such as Chemosh, Merkul and Ouijas are patrons of necromancers, death knights, liches, mummy lords and vampires. Gods of the Death domain also embody murder, Anubis, Baal and Perennius, pain, Use or Loviatar, disease or poison, Encabulus, Tolona or Morinon, and the underworld, Hades and Hell. Death domain, spells. Cleric level, spells. First level, False Life and Ray of Sickness. Third level, Blindness, Deafness, Ray of Enfeeblement. Fifth level, Animate Dead, Vampiric Touch. 7th level, Blight, Death Ward. 9th level, Anti-Life Shell, Cloud Kill. Cloud Kill at 9th level? Isn't that kinda garbage? Wasn't Cloud Kill a 5th level spell in 2nd edition? Is it still a 5th level spell in the current edition? In the 5th edition? Is it? Or is it not? Anyway, bonus proficiency. When the cleric chooses this domain at 1st level, he or she gains proficiency with martial weapons. Reaper. At 1st level, the cleric learns one necromancy cantrip of his or her choice from any spell list. When the cleric casts a necromancy cantrip that normally targets only one creature, the spell can instead target 2 creatures within range and within 5 feet of each other. Channel Divinity, Touch of Death. Starting at 2nd level, the cleric can use Channel Divinity to destroy another creature's life force by touch. When the cleric hits a creature with a melee attack, the cleric can use Channel Divinity to deal extra necrotic damage to the target. The damage equals 5 plus twice his or her cleric level inescapable destruction. Starting at 6th level, the cleric's ability to channel negative energy becomes more potent. Necrotic damage dealt by the character's cleric spells and Channel Divinity options ignores resistance to necrotic damage. That seems kinda strong, but not many things, I assume, have necrotic damage resistance anyway. Divine Strike. At 8th level, the cleric gains the ability to infuse his or her weapon strikes with necrotic energy. Once on each of the cleric's turns, when he or she hits a creature with a weapon attack, the cleric can cause the attack to deal an extra 1d8 necrotic damage to the target. When the cleric reaches 14th level, the extra damage increases to 2d8. Improved Reaper. Starting at 17th level, when the cleric casts a necromancy spell of 1st through 5th level that targets only one creature, the spell can instead target 2 creatures within range and within 5 feet of each other. If the spell consumes its material components, the cleric must provide them for each target. Okay, so it's the same thing but for higher levels. Paladin Oathbreaker. An Oathbreaker is a paladin who breaks his or her sacred oaths to pursue some dark ambition or serve an evil power. Whatever light burned in the paladin's heart has been extinguished. Only darkness remains. A paladin must be evil and at least 3rd level to become an Oathbreaker. The paladin replaces the features specific to his or her sacred oath with Oathbreaker features. Oathbreaker spells. An Oathbreaker paladin loses previously gained oath spells and gains the following Oathbreaker spells at the paladin levels instead. Paladin level 3rd, Hellish Rebuke, Inflict Wounds. 5th, Crown of Madness, Darkness. 9th, Animate Dead, Bestow Curse. 13th, Blight, Confusion. 17th, Contagion, Dominate Person. Contagion, Dominate Person. So this is a class level. Silly me, it's not a spell level. So for the cleric, that's on the 9th cleric level, you get Anti-Life Shell and Cloud Kill, which are presumably probably around 5th level. Anyway, Channel Divinity. An Oathbreaker Paladin of 3rd level or higher gains the following 2 Channel Divinity options. Control Undead. As an action, the Paladin targets one undead creature he or she can see within 30 feet of him or her. The target must make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target must obey the Paladin's commands for the next 24 hours, or until the Paladin uses his Channel Divinity option again. An undead whose challenge rating is equal to or greater than the Paladin's level is immune to this effect. Dreadful Aspect. As an action, the Paladin channels the darkest emotions and focuses them into a burst of magical menace. Each creature of the Paladin's choice within 30 feet of the Paladin must make a Wisdom saving throw if it can see the Paladin. On a failed save, the target is frightened of the Paladin for 1 minute. If a creature frightened by this effect ends its turn more than 30 feet away from the Paladin, it can attempt another Wisdom saving throw to end the effect on it. Aura of Hate. Starting at 7th level, the Paladin, as well as any fiends and undead within 10 feet of the Paladin, gains a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to the Paladin's Charisma modifier, minimum of +1. A creature can benefit from this feature only one Paladin at a time. At 18th level, the range of this aura increases to 30 feet. Does it affect damage? Gains a bonus to melee weapon damage roll. Okay, to damage, actually, not to hit. That's pretty nice. If you have a lot of small fiendish summons somehow as a paladin, I don't know how you'd do it. You'd probably have to take a different class, but it could be a paladin minion build. By the way, I'm firmly against building characters for mechanical reasons, making them be a certain thing because you want to try an ability or class or something interaction like that. This isn't really my brand of role-playing, and it kind of hampers the character, as a person in a story. But you do you, I guess. And if this fits your character anyway, accidentally, you might want to go for it. Supernatural resistance. At 15th level, the paladin gains resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. Dreadlord. At 20th level, the paladin can, as an action, surround himself or herself with an aura of gloom that lasts for 1 minute. The aura reduces any bright light in a 30 feet radius around the paladin to dim light. Whenever an enemy that is frightened by the paladin starts its turn in the aura, it takes 4d10 psychic damage. Additionally, the paladin and creatures he or she chooses in the aura are draped in deeper shadow. Creatures that rely on sight have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures draped in this shadow. While the aura lasts, the paladin can use a bonus action on his or her turn to cause the shadows in the aura to attack one creature. The paladin makes a melee spell attack against the target. If the attack hits, the target takes necrotic damage equal to 3d10 plus the paladin's charisma modifier. After activating the aura, the paladin can't do so again until he finishes a long rest. So that's a pretty strong skill, but you have to be level 20 to do it, which is a bit problematic. If you're a player, you're never gonna get to level 20. But if you're an NPC created to be, for example, the main bad guy, you could be level 20. I don't know. I like multi-classing personally, so I feel like multi-class characters are... If you allow a player to choose the Oathbreaker option, you can later allow the paladin to turn and become a true paladin once more. The paladin who wishes to turn must first shed his or her evil alignment and demonstrate his alignment change through words and deeds. Having done so, the paladin loses all Oathbreaker features and must choose a deity and sacred oath. With your permission, the player can select a different deity or sacred oath than the character had previously. However, the paladin doesn't gain the class features specific to the sacred oath until he or she completes some kind of a dangerous quest or trial, such as determined by the DM. A paladin who breaks his or her sacred oath a second time can become an oathbreaker once more, but can't atone. So there are second chances in the world of D&D, but there are no third chances, I guess. And this grim remark ends our stream of this super short chapter. If you enjoyed it, meet me in the next chapter. Consider leaving a like and maybe check Dorkly Lit out on Twitch. The link is in the description. May you always get your second and third chances, both in real life and in D&D. Have a great day. Bye.